The final session here in the Blue Room, which as those of you that have been here maybe yesterday and today, we know that this is the literally the epicenter of the conference, because it's the room that is wedged right in the middle of the whole event. Hashtag FOMG15. I'm going to keep this very short. The next topic is programmatic. And the title, as you can see on the screen, is Can Creativity Survive Without Programmatic? I would like to also add the following question to that, is can creativity survive with programmatic? And I'm going to hand it over to Jay Stephens, who will introduce the panel to you.
Great. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure being here. Thank you so much for coming. It's great to see such a packed house. We only have about 25 minutes, so we're going to have to be pretty quick about this. But I think to that point of can creativity survive without programmatic, I think one of the biggest challenges that we've seen actually is that creativity has largely been left out of this discussion when it comes to programmatic, yet there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. And historically, programmatic and creativity are often mentioned as complete opposites, and actually the question of can they survive together has really been the historical kind of meme that has existed. And it's really only today, I think, that this title actually is indicative of the fact that the two can be fantastic bedfellows. And so with that, what I'd like to do is actually start to my left. If each one of the panelists could introduce themselves and then talk a little bit about one or two examples of creative and programmatic working fine in conjunction together. So take it away, Casper.
Hi everyone, my name's Casper Schlickum. I'm CEO of Xaxis for Europe, Middle East and Africa. I think what's interesting is, and this whole conference has come up over and over again. I sort of miss our creative friends at this conference. They should be here, because there's sort of a running theme throughout the whole conference in so many of the sessions has been the much closer interrelationship between creative and media. And I think that's definitely the case in programmatic. And I think, clients that we work with, many of them are still seeing creative and media as a sort of an ongoing sort of linear value chain. Those that are slightly more enlightened are sort of starting with data.
Yeah.
Right? And they're starting with, this is what I want to do with my audience, or this is the audience I want to reach, this is the data I have, this is the data that I don't have and I need to rely on other parties. And then briefing the agencies, not the media agency or the creative agency, but the agencies to deliver a campaign idea that matches that audience and that objective and that data. And that's really the starting point, whether that be weather data or whether that be audience data or whether it be some other kind of data that they want to use. So, but of course, as I'm sure we'll come back and talk about, that totally changes the entire value chain.
Right, and the number of variables associated with those creatives.
Yeah.
Nick Hugh, I head up our commercial business at Yahoo EMEA, so responsible for all sales, everything we do around the audience side, as well as any platforms. This is an area that's of great interest to Yahoo. We're certainly enormous advocates of the programmatic side. And of course, we need the creative side of our industry to come along for that ride. And your point about them being bedfellows, that's definitely where we need to get to. Whether they are or not is definitely one of the points I guess we'll debate here. But certainly, if I look at some of the things we've done in the past with some key clients, we've really started to see some progress. And if I think about at the one end of the spectrum, from one of the most conservative and brand-conscious clients you can find around Burberry, and working with them to do literally an incredibly engaging front page takeover for 100% programmatically across 5 markets at the same time was fascinating actually to understand. And then they enabled Amnet to do remessaging based off the activity that had been taken on that front page. And that's a great example of good collaboration across the agency, their desk, as well as the client. But then also, if I look something we do on the other end of the spectrum with someone like Visit Britain, where they're interested in getting more and more people to come visit Britain, and it's worth it, trust me. Then that's the way we run a content marketing hub on Tumblr for them, and the way then that we use that data to drive and to distribute the content. That is a sign of the way that this goes in the future, and for sure there's a lot that we need to do across all parties to evolve.
So I'm Stephan Beringer. I'm the CEO of Vivaki, global CEO of Vivaki, and I'm also in charge of the, the core data and technology strategies for the whole of Publicis Group. So rather than giving 2 client examples, I would just give 2 examples of the things we're doing to actually go about the opportunity, how we go about it. So the first thing, and you might have read this, is that we believe programmatic and data and technology enablement needs to sit in each and every agency. So as you might know, our programmatic practice used to be concentrated and solely anchored in Vivaki. And beginning in February with the US and then with the UK following, and France, Germany, Australia, and we'll still have some big markets to go, we moved the programmatic campaign and analytics talent into the agencies because we believe that this as a skill, as an understanding, as a paradigm needs to sit directly in the client work, in the strategy, in the ideation work. And so we're currently working also, and Libby might touch on that, with Xaxis, for instance, just to basically see how we roll it out at what time with them. And as a matter of fact, programmatic has not been, in our case, not been limited to the media agencies. We work with Razorfish, Digital, etc. Anyway, I don't want to make publicity here. No, seriously not. We all have good models, I guess, and it's a very complex challenge, so we'll all come up with some good solutions. The second aspect, which I find equally interesting, is actually to think about programmatic as a bigger notion, because we're talking about, you know, data and technology enabled automation of, you know, how we engage with customers. And so if we think about the process and the silos in our industry,